Hey there, this is Lisa from Echolocity, and today I want to show you how to get your data from Miro into Smartsheet. So here you're looking at a board that I created for a retrospective after a project was finished, and the team was identifying what they wanted to continue, what they wanted to stop, what they wanted to ideate on, what ideas came up, and then some action steps on what to do next. So we have these 4 sections. I want to get these sticky notes into Smartsheet so I can assign them to folks and really just work with the data in a different way, a little better. So over here on your sidebar, you'll see that there's a Smartsheet icon. And if yours doesn't have that, if you don't see that, because it doesn't come by default, you can click on the plus sign and open up the More Apps, and you'll find it there. I've already got that added, so I'm going to click on that. It opens up a side panel here. And here it's asking if you want to import from Smartsheet, so choose something from Smartsheet, or if I want to convert from Miro and get it into Smartsheet. That's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to convert from Miro, and it's saying select from the board. Select the sticky notes from the board to export and convert into Smartsheet rows. So I want everything, right? I want this whole board, and I'm going to select all those sticky notes. And then it's asking me what workspace. And so I've got a demo workspace here, and it's asking me what sheet I want. And you have the option here to either create a brand new sheet, and it'll just take everything in and create a new sheet, or select a sheet. So I have a default Miro export sheet that I created for this purpose. And I'm going to click Convert to Smartsheet Rows. And you'll see what it's doing here. It's taking each sticky note and it's converting it into this graphic here, this rectangular box. So each one of these is a sticky note. And so as it goes through the Miro board, it's taking the sticky notes off of the board and converting them into these little boxes that are then going to be brought into Smartsheet. Now the thing here is that while it's doing this, it's really just destroying the visual that you have, right, with your sticky notes. And maybe you want it to go back to that, because if you have sticky notes that look nice and your team wants to go back and maybe move things around and maybe just add some things or whatnot, or just come back to it for a reference point, they can't do that because the sticky notes are gone. And now you have just a bunch of ugly blocks, frankly. So what I always recommend before you do your import is to make a copy. So take your board, your Miro board, and go ahead and make a copy of it so that you have it. You can import from the copy if you want to, or you can import from the original. It doesn't really matter. Just this way you're preserving one of them. You can rename it if you don't want to have it called copy, and that's the one that you're keeping. And so you'll see here, there's not a ton of sticky notes on this board, so it's not taking that long to finish. So now it's done its thing. Let's go over to Smartsheet and see if it worked. So here we go, right? It's already brought them in. And the first thing that you may notice, it's the first thing that when I did this for the first time, I was like, oh, that's interesting. It didn't do any kind of grouping or formatting or labeling or anything. It just literally brought in what the sticky notes said. And if there's an emoji, I didn't expect that to be brought in. It's a little symbol here. So you're just going to want to do a little bit of editing perhaps. Although this emoji did come in, so, you're kind of not sure what you're going to get. But just know that you may need to do a little bit of editing. So the other piece of that, though, is like, well, that's not super helpful because I don't know what sections these were in. So what I would recommend instead is to bring them in sections. So I'm going to go to another copy that I made, and I'm going to click the Smartsheet logo and open up that panel. And I'm going to select just a group of the sticky notes, not all of them. So the ones from this particular section. I'm going to go to the workspace, and I'm going to select a different sheet here just because I have that prepared with some formatting. And I'm going to convert these sticky notes and bring them into that sheet. It's still doing the same process, right? You can see that it's converting each one of these. And when I go over to Smartsheet, you will see, here we go, now it's all done. And we go to this version, this sheet that I created, it brought them all in. And so from here, it's really easy for me to select those rows and drag them to the section I want them to be in. And I can even indent them and make them children. So continue as the parent. And I've colored these. I've added columns for, what priority are these? Or how important are they right now? Who do I want to assign them to? Do I want to set a due date? And then what's the status, right? So we can set a status, this hasn't been started, and maybe we do a date record feature where we record a completed date. Just an example. You may have some other things that you want to add to your sheet, but this is one way to do it. And then I would just go back to the board and I would do the same thing with these other sections. I would select, we'll just do a couple of sticky notes here so it only takes a moment. We've already selected the board and the workspace. And so it'll just bring in these two, just for the purpose of this demonstration. And I'm going to save my changes from before, and here's the two that I just selected. I'm going to drag them down to the section I want them in. I'm going to indent. And it's that easy, right? So now you have a sheet that brings in your data that is more useful than just a bunch of rows. All right, so couple of gotchas there. Remember that there's no formatting or grouping if you do an import. So choose your groups and import them just one by one. And that it does not preserve the sticky note visual on the sheet. It just takes all your sticky notes away and turns them into blocks. That's our tip for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, etc., for fresh new content and Echo updates. Thanks for watching.